And we are blessed beyond measure to be with our amazing, wonderful, inspiring business partner, Mitch. Mitch, I got to tell you, EXP has never been the same since you joined this wonderful company. And you have had more careers than Forrest Gump. So do you mind just telling us a little bit about your background?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it. And I know we tried to do this before, but there was a echo somewhere in the world. I think it was my ghosts were following me or something. So chronic entrepreneur. I've had 23 companies over the last 42 years. I started out, my first business was a modular home business at 19, then a paintball business, then a flower business, and a restaurant, an ad agency, a marketing company, another flower business, a regular dating service, an online dating service, which is how I ended up in Florida. I was the first online dating service. And then after that fell apart in the internet bubble, real estate. And I've had multiple companies within the real estate business. So it's fun.
Very, very exciting. And so tell us a little bit about how you fell into EXP, or first, how did you get into real estate to start with? How did that journey begin?
Something I had no desire to do. Although I don't think a lot of people wake up in the morning and go, when I grew up, I'm going to be a realtor. So I lost my internet company, lost a small fortune, actually a large fortune, and really had no direction. I had no money left. I didn't know where I wanted to go. I knew I wanted to start another company, but I had no capital. I was 40 years old. I'm like, I talked to my buddy Joe up in Boston. I'm like, Joe, I don't know what to do. He's like, get your real estate license. I'm like, I don't like realtors. Why would I do that? He's like, no, you'd be really good at it. You can talk to everybody. I go, yeah, but not fun. So anyway, so I did. I got my license, and I found real estate to be really easy. I didn't understand the complexity of it. I guess I didn't have anybody telling me if I sold a couple of things, a couple of houses the first year, I'd be doing good. So I sold 36 homes the first year, and 50 my second, 80 my third, 80 my fourth, and started my real estate brokerage in 2005. And then, that's why I got into real estate. And then I switched over. Basically, was at 55 years old, freaking out a little bit, saying, "What happens if something happens to me?" As a broker, if something happens to you when you're a broker, all you need to scatter. And I really didn't know, what that meant for my family. Well, I actually knew what it meant. It meant my family got nothing, and my wife, not be able to buy shoes anymore, and all that stuff. So I went to sell the company, which is what you do. And if you've ever tried to sell a real estate company, I know you have, Tracy, they give you a little money the first year, a little money the second year. The bulk of the money is based on the retention of the original, at that time, 120 agents. And that actually sounded like the stupidest thing in the world to me. So I'm like, I'm not going to let you guys determine my future, which is I knew why they offered me a lot of money for that reason, right? And then we I called Jason Guessing after that fell apart and said, I want to talk again. This is the fourth time I met with Jason. Because I loved the model. I couldn't get my ego out of the way. I love the business model. And
tell us a little bit. What led you to start your own real estate company to begin with? Let's go back a step. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
That's true. Well, that's just what you do. That's what we're told. I was told that in real estate school, you become successful as a realtor, you start a team, and have a successful team, you start a brokerage. That's the way we fly. And I've always been an entrepreneur, like I said. So owning a brokerage meant I was the guy again. I got to own it again. So that was why we started the brokerage in the first place. But I started it, though, mainly why I started all my businesses is for leverage and freedom. Now, the running joke I have with my friends is I started for leverage and freedom. What I got was prison and babysitting.
Boy, true words that have been spoken. Tell us a little bit about your brokerage, because you had a very, very wildly successful brokerage here in Florida.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how that grew and kind of what your niche was and what that was like.
Sure. Well, I'm known as the godfather of internet lead conversion. So I was a lead guy. I started in 2002 doing lead generation. So that was the focus of my brokerage. I brought people on because I had a lot of leads. And then I just kept adding on, and then I started adjusting. So we ended up, being the first people to use inside sales agents to generate, to close, not close, but nurture leads on your database versus cold calling. And we had 45 agents on our lead system. We had another, 80 agents or so that were just, 70-30 agents or whatever they were at the time. And we just kept building and adding systems, and it was great. We was doing 700 transactions a year at the end there, and
Wow.
329 the last year we had the company. We're from internet leads, so we're killing both. We have a 6% conversion rate on registration leads. But the thing missing was money. I wasn't making any money. That was my big challenge. Is I worked my butt off. I worked 100 hours a week, and I'll be honest. I mean, my best year, I made $200,000 profit.
Oh
That
my
was my
gosh.
best. That was my best year. My average year was anywhere between minus $50,000 and $100,000 positive.
What do you think most people thought you were making?
Oh, millions. Well, because you have to play the part, right? I have the nice car. I wear nice suits. Obviously, my wife's beautiful. So all those things are, everybody thought I was like this. Well, I mean, I was in terms, I'm successful because I was making other money but I had to sell houses. I had to have my coaching business for me to make the living that I wanted to make. But my brokerage alone, was not making any real money.
Mm-hmm.
And Mitch, when we first got our first chance to talk, you weren't very open-minded. What changed to get you to a point where you were open-minded enough to start digging into it?
Well, it was really, and I mentioned earlier, when I turned 55, it was a hard year for me. My dad died at 58, my mother died at 59. And here I am turning 55. And, I was doing exactly what I did with my kids. I did not see my children grow up because I'm an entrepreneur and worked 100 hours a week. I was not seeing my grandkids grow up this time. And I really worried about my family. I mean, I didn't worry about myself, but I worried about, we didn't make a lot of money, didn't have a lot of assets. So if I died at that moment, or worse, got incapacitated, which would have been worse than dying, right? At least with dying, I had a decent life insurance policy. If I get incapacitated, my family was screwed. We were literally, and I hate to admit this now, but we were probably 3 to 4 months away from bankruptcy at any given moment. And that's most brokers that I talk to, most of my friends. We put on the image that we love being the guy or the girl. We love being the focal point of everything. But the reality is we have to sell houses. We have to make money.
Yeah. There's a reason that we're called broker, right? I was always broker than my agents were, Yeah.
Yeah. But all my agents thought I was really rich, of course.
Yeah. So how did you first get introduced to EXP?
Howard Fritz is my sponsor. Howard is a pretty cool guy up in Connecticut. And he was actually, I met him because he reached out to me with his team on how to convert leads, which is one of my businesses back then. And we just got along. And then I was opening a new company, launching it in 2015 was the first I actually met him in person at Inman. And he's like, you got to join EXP. And I'm like, whatever. And wasn't really interested, but I was at Inman, so I was willing to talk to Jason. That was the first time I talked to Jason. So I was 2015. And the model intrigued me. And being an entrepreneur, if you're a business person, you have to take a look at this model, just for being a business person, because it's the best. I mean, I gave up 4 companies it wasn't just my real estate program. I had 3 other companies. All went down the side because this is the best opportunity I've ever seen in my life. But that was it. So I met with Jason, and it took me 4 times meeting with Jason, but it was really the catalyst of what happens if something happens to me that got me there.
So tell us a little bit about the transition over to EXP and what what went through your head, and what did you say to your beautiful bride about the possibility? What was her reaction? Kind of walk us through those when you first started to percolate on it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was fun.
I bet. I've been there.
Yeah. I left Inman. So that was in January of 2017. I came home and met with my wife, saw my wife, and now keep in mind, my wife just saw us getting the company under contract, almost selling the company for almost $4 million, right? So that's in her brain. And I said, I want to show you this opportunity, because we had not talked about it until this point. And she's like, okay, well, you're going to give the company away? I go, yeah, kind of. And it didn't really go over really well. But then, my wife, being as smart as she is, and she was, well, who's this Glenn Sanford guy? And she did her homework on him. And I said to my wife, I said, if this does what I think it can do, and I do what I think I can do with it, I could retire in 5 years. And if it doesn't do what I think it could do, the worst case scenario is I reopen Tropical Realty Beachside.
Right.
So the worst case scenario wasn't that bad. In the worst case scenario, if none of my agents came back with me, I sold 80 to 100 homes a year. I could sell homes. I made more money selling homes than I ever made being a broker. So she says, well, what do we have to lose? In fact, there's a video that Renee Funk is interviewing my wife on YouTube. If you type in Mitch Ribak Jeanette, you'll find it in there on YouTube. And it's really talking about what EXP's done as a family and from a spouse's perspective, how it's changed our lives dramatically. So anyway, so I did that with my wife. So she said, okay, but I still had, 65 agents at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't just as easy, just me and my wife saying, okay, right. So of course, the next person I talked to was Pat, my general manager, which you guys all know, my business partner. And she was okay with it. And then I talked to 34 of my top agents, and out of the 34, 33 were game.
Wow.
So yeah, they were all, they trusted me. So we lost 25 in the switchover, but keep in mind when we moved over, it was a lot different than today. Today, when everybody knows EXP now. Back then, there was 50 agents in the state of Florida. There was 5 in Orlando. There was none here. So it wasn't like, people would say ESP who, then we had, when it got out that I was looking to do this, we had every broker in town calling my agents, harassing them. And the best one was my compliance manager hung his broker license with another broker, his brokerage of record, while I was paying his salary. And as people would come in, he would say, oh, by the way, Mitch is leaving the company. You should probably come to my company. So he got 19 of the 25 people left. Of the 25 people left, 3 have come back and one's in the process of coming back now. Of the other 6 that actually sold, none of those 19 people actually sold houses. So I didn't really care. The other 6, they were scared. I don't ever begrudge anybody for leaving. It was very new. It was they had to put a lot of faith in me. And luckily I had a lot of, 40 agents that did put their faith in me.
And Mitch, you've talked about how much you loved running a brokerage. However, what were the pain points that you were living with?
Let's see. Besides not seeing my family, there's a few of them. I'll talk about a couple. One is I was never present with whatever relationship I was in. When I was playing golf on Saturday mornings with the same guys I play with now, I wasn't really there. My phone was ringing, texting. I was constantly on the phone when I was playing golf. When I was home, same thing. My wife would talk to me, and all I would see is, I didn't listen to a word she said. I mean, I'm bad at listening anyways, as she'll tell you, but I was never present. But there's 2 different parts of the running the brokerage that were hard. One was the emotional part, and the other was the financial part. The financial part we talked about, right? Excuse me. The emotional part, at least for me, was I've always wanted to get people to hear in their lives. I've always been a leader. I've always been able to elevate people, but I've never had 120 people that were independent contractors, right? They were employees, so I had control of it a lot more. Mm-hmm. With independent contractors, I can't make you do anything. So getting people to level up is very difficult for me. And then when you finally get through to somebody, because I hired mostly brand new agents back then, when you finally get through to people and you see them going on, they do $2 million this year, they did $4 million, they did $10 million. They knock on the door and come in and say, Mitch, you're the best mentor I could have ever asked for, but I'm going to go over there now. And it used to wreck me. I mean, not wreck me, but I would lose a lot of sleep about it because not only was it a financial hit, but it was an emotional hit. I mean, I love these people, and I thought that they loved me too. And the reality is, in our business, and it's just a business, and I'm much easier with it now, but you're only as good to your people as they feel you need for you now. If they feel there's a better place for their family, they're going to leave. And so when I talk to brokers all the time, that's probably the hardest thing as a broker is, you have all these big companies trying to recruit your agents all the time. Always something it's always brighter. The grass is always greener on the other side, right? We know it's not. But that they think they're doing the best thing for their family. So I can't argue with that. But it took an emotional toll on me. I would tell you, it kind of jaded me for a while. And really just not trusting people and, how much effort do I want to put into you? You're just going to leave anyways.
And did it ever bother you that, here you are running a business and you bring someone in and you want to teach them to be this good, but you never wanted to teach them how to run their own brokerage. How did that make you feel?
Yeah, so I was a little different than that in a lot of ways. I know most brokers do that. And you've known me for a long time now, Dave. I'm a contribution guy. Always have been for my whole life. I want people to get to the next level in their life. Always have. And if that meant, honestly, I would have been fine if they left me and started their own brokerage. That would not have affected me one bit. What brought me going to another brokerage that I knew was inferior to what we were, whether it was a franchise or not. And so, I want people to succeed in life. So that's the beauty of this model. I'm going to hop to that for a second, because now it's like, I have agents that have left my team now to start their own teams. I love that. And that's what I help you. I said, look, if I do my job really good, I'm going to help you start your own team. You're all going to be within EXP. You're all going to be in my organization. I'm going to contribute to you. And instead of being a competitor with you, I'm now going to be your mentor on how to start a team, how to build a brokerage within a brokerage. It's great. I think the thing that I love about this more than having my own brokerage, I get to do what was the most important parts of the brokerage for me, which is contributing and helping people grow. But the difference is I don't chase anybody anymore. I only help those that are swimming toward me. And it's so much more rewarding.
So, Mitch, can you tell us a little bit about the stock, the EXP stock? Of course, as EXP agents, we're given stock for doing the same things that we do as a real estate agent, and then can buy the stock at a discount instead of paying a franchise fee. So tell everybody a little bit about how the stock has changed your life and some of your agents' lives.
Yeah, I'd rather talk about my agents' lives more than mine, because, I'm at the top of the totem pole with my agents. And, I've done, the stock has changed. I mean, we paid off all of our debt when the stock went crazy before all the real estate stocks went down. It's been a blessing to no end. But I'd rather talk about, a couple of my agents. And I'll pick one in particular. I won't mention his name because he might see this, but I used to be known in January and February. I would give my agents loans if they needed money. And when we made the switch over, I couldn't do that because I didn't control the money anymore. So he came to me in 2018. So it was a year. No, it was 2019. We were a year and a half in, 18 months in. So it must have been 19. And hey, Mitch, can I borrow $3,000? I'm like, he goes, I can't pay my mortgage. Now, because we know that Realtors stop working in November and December for some reason, right? And so they're always broken January, February. And this is in January. I said, I can't. I can't just give you money now. I can't control it. And he's like, no, I'll pay you back. I go, yeah, I've got about $200,000 out there. I'm going to pay you back money. So I said, but did you do the stock thing? He goes, what do you mean? I go, did you do the 5% to get the 10% discount on stock? He goes, yeah. I go, how much stock? He goes, I have no idea. I've never looked, which is very typical by the way. Most agents don't ever look. He looked at it, and the stock was $11 that day. I'll never forget. It was $11. He had 1,200 shares of stock.
Wow.
So he sold $10,000 worth of stock and paid his mortgage, paid his car payment for the next few months. And by the way, that same guy became an Icon agent before June. It's our anniversary day. And he got $16,000 of stock back, which I don't know what that stock's worth now. I think it was only about $7 when he got it or something like that. So anyways, he's done really well with it. He's done great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I know he sold a bunch when it hit 70, and I think he made $200,000 on it. But regardless, it's a lot of money. And here's the thing, when I talk to agents about the stock, and I was talking to a RE/MAX agent who's a good friend of mine. He's been fighting me on switching since we joined, and I'm like, don't do it. I go, but here's the deal: you would have already had $135,000 in stock. Yeah. If you did what I told you to do, because you're doing $10 million a year in 5 years, and you do the 5%, you're an Icon agent in most markets, you would have had $135,000 in stock. He goes, yeah, but your stock's all over the place. I go, true. I go, but how much stock did RE/MAX give you?
Yeah. And you're right. It's $77,622 worth of stock. We live in it's an incredible company, right?
Yeah.
So Mitch, I was there in the early days when we presented to your entire brokerage, and we, saw the reaction and saw the migration coming over, and I saw your success coming out the gate. But how did it feel the first day you essentially turned over the responsibilities of being the deal doctor and being the broker of that group?
I bawled my eyes out.
Mm-hmm.
I did. It was my baby. I gave it up. And I didn't look at it as a failure. I knew it was a good future. I knew it was the right business decision because it wasn't sustainable. That lifestyle was not sustainable, at least the life I wanted to live. It was ultra emotional. And then Randy Rand said to me, who was the broker in Florida at the time, and I was turning the corner. I think you were actually talking at the time, or it was either you or Jason. And I turned around the corner and Randy goes, "Well, thanks for giving me all your liability." And I'm like, And it was the first time I actually inside smiled. I mean, I was holding it together in front of everybody because I had to. When I got around that corner, the tears were coming down. And when he said that to me, it was like the first time I internally smiled, saying, "Yes, I don't have to worry about that anymore." In fact, we still go through that, because we're very tight here in Brevard County with our agents. I've got about 70 agents on my team now, and things will happen like with any brokerage. And Pat will say to me, "Well, what are we going to do to help?" I go, "We're going to turn it over to the broker." That's what we're going to do to help. And I go, "I don't have to worry about it." So, not having the liability is, I actually think if you look really close, there's 4 hairs that are coming back in right there.
The previous broker that I worked for, the last broker I worked for before I joined EXP, at our mandatory E&O meeting one year, he said that the way that he figured it, about every 1,000 deals, there's a real estate commission complaint or there is a lawsuit, and you just hope and pray that your number's not up. I mean, it's just, you do enough deals as a real estate broker, it's almost inevitable. And when your agent makes a mistake, guess what? The real estate commission can hold us brokers responsible as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, it's one of those things that you are going to get sued. And especially in the society we live in right now where everything's litigious, you are going to get sued. So, and then, and by the way, you're going to get also almost sued.
Yeah.
Which is almost worse because we had 3 almost lawsuits, and those things you still have to put all the man hours in and get all the documentation together for your E&O insurance, or you're not covered. So you have to, if you're almost getting sued, you have to call your E&O insurance. Which probably the first time we almost got sued, we didn't do that, and our insurance company told us we're not covered.
Oh my
This is
gosh.
the first you're hearing about this. This happened 6 months ago. You're not covered. You have to let them know you're almost going to be sued right away. And then you got to do all the work. Like we had one that was like, I don't know, years back, like 18 months back, and we had to do it was like 40 files we had to find because an investor guy that sued. Almost
of course.
He never sued. Yeah, of course, yeah, because he lost money on his investments. That's our fault. Because I said it's always the broker's fault, right?
Yeah.
So not having liability and not having to keep files anymore. Not having it, I had 8 employees. I have, really me, Pat, and a couple part-time managers to help with us locally, and a VA. So payroll is not that bad, and overhead we don't have. I have 2 offices. One I just bought as an investment because I wanted the investment, and the other one is in an executive suite where I'm in right now, which is, I used to spend $18,000 a month on leases. Right now I spend $3,000. Well, one's 2,000. Yeah.
And Mitch, when you're making the transition over, you had a great group of agents, and you had been building it, I think, for 12 years at the time. Now you've been here for a much shorter period of time. When you talk about the results of your growth leverage model.
Yeah. So it took me 13 years to grow to 120 agents with my brokerage, which at the time I want to say we were probably the 3rd or 4th biggest brokerage in the county.
Wow.
Maybe, yeah, I would say 3rd, maybe. And we, so I joined actually May 16th of 2017. We call June 1st because it's my anniversary date. And to date, I am at 1,950 something agents.
Wow. All in Brevard County?
Yeah. Well, surprisingly, there are. So just to give you an idea how well EXP is growing around the world, especially the country, we have 5,000 realtors in Brevard County total, 530 with EXP.
Wow.
Yeah. Not all under me. We have partners, other partners, but still, That's a lot of agents. 10% of 10% of all the realtors in Brevard County are here. And we will be 10% of all the realtors in the country soon too.
Yeah, your lips to God's ears, you know. What do you say to brokers that you know aren't making any money, but that are not willing to sit down and take a look at and at least run the numbers? What do you say to people that are that close-minded?
Duh. No. Well, if you're a business person, right, you have to always look at your options. The challenge we have as real estate brokers is ego.
Mm-hmm.
It was my biggest issue was I'm the guy. And that's hard. It's hard to give that up. It's hard to not be the guy anymore or the girl, whatever it is. And, I'm talking to a broker right now and did her numbers for 2021. After I go, how's it going? She goes, going great. We had an amazing 2021. I go, great. Well, let me see if it makes sense. Because if you're making a killing, maybe it doesn't make sense to you. So I did her numbers. She has, is it 10 or 15 agents? I can't remember, which means 3 to 5, right?
Yeah.
And I did her numbers. I pulled her numbers out because I had to pull her numbers out. Mm-hmm. And she was right. She is killing it. Her agents lost her $7,500 last year. Mm. So one of the things that when I'm talking to a broker is if you're a broker that listens, be honest with yourself. Look in the mirror and have a conversation. Am I really making money? Am I really happy? Because I can tell you, I talk to brokers all the time, sometimes 10 or 20 a week, and none of them are happy. None of them. I mean, not one person. I love now what they love is they love being able to help their agents grow. They love their agents. They love being the guy, that's the ego part, right? But they hate the business. They're miserable. They have no life. They get 15, 20 phone calls a day, every day from people. And it's never everybody calling and say, hey, Traci, you're like the best broker I ever had. They call me, Traci, you should have this program. And, BMAX has this program. And those guys have this program, blah, blah, blah. It's all day, 7 days a week. And so if you're a broker out there, really be honest with yourself. And right now the market is about to shift. This is the time to get ahead of it. There's going to be lots of agents in your brokerage leaving other brokerages over the next 18, 24 months. And that's a great opportunity for you to be with us and let us show you how to do what we've done, because anybody can do this. I'm nothing special. I just did the work, right? That's all. I did the work. I saw the opportunity and said, hey, this is just another business. Let's just build a business within a business.
Right. Very, very powerful.
Mitch, could I ask one more question?
Sure.
So when you're the broker, like you said, the more agents need you, the better chance they're going to come to you and stay with you. However, I know some of the people that have come to EXP and are part of your group that are light years ahead of most as far as production, as far as talent and all of that. How do you attract people that are so good?
It's my cute face. Well, the biggest thing is everybody wants the same thing, right? I don't care whether you're doing making $300,000 a year, $1 million a year, or 20 grand. We all want freedom. We all want our family. We all want the same thing. You just have to have the best way of getting there. And so when you're talking to people, when I'm talking to people that are, the Pete Middletons of the world, the big producers, David Lawson just came over from Engel Volkers with his team. We're talking to these people. It's just about what does the next 5 years look like for you? At the end of 5 years, what changes? But more importantly, and I use this every time I talk to people, because it's from my heart, what happens if something happens to you? It still comes down. You can be the best producer in the world. Most realtors, as we know, do not save any money. Right? They might have a couple of investments, but if they're making $300,000 or $400,000 a year selling houses, they're probably not making 50 grand a year in investments, right? Probably. And so my job is to show them the other side, how you do that. So I don't care about, I talk to everybody, whether it's a $500,000 a year producer or a $50 million producer, they're all the same. Honestly, the people that have less, it's actually not as important as the conversation as the people that have more. The people that have more really need to think about that, because we all see it. I had a friend of mine die last week with real estate. His family's good right now. He made about $200,000 a year, but 200 grand a year is not a lot of money anymore, right? They don't have a lot of investments. luckily they have a GoFundMe page. I think they've raised about $30,000-$40,000 so far. That's going to help. But I see that all the time. And then what does the end look like? What's the exit strategy? Everybody, you can only sustain doing $80, $100 deals a year for so long before there's big sacrifices in your life, meaning your family. And I will tell you, as a person that did not see their kids grow up, it's my only regret in my life is that I see my children grow up because I was too busy trying to make a buck. Where EXP, I work 35, 40 hours a week. I play baseball 3 nights a week with my grandson. I play in a rock band with my grandkids. I'm going to take most of the month of September off with my family. I could never do that as a broker. And I could definitely not do that when I was selling houses.
Well, from a liability standpoint alone, because I ran, 5 Century 21 offices. I owned 5 Century 21 offices. One of them was the 4th largest in the United States. And my goodness, if your agent had a crisis at, 5:30 on a Saturday afternoon and you didn't take that call and it escalated, and I mean, you certainly could not answer your phone for a week. I mean, you'd be risking your entire livelihood. So people, they think we're making all this money, and then they think that we're working hardly any hours at all. It's a lose-lose. I'm going to let you guys talk and hit the mute button. Your doorbell rang. Sorry about that. There's a little shadow bear chiming in.
No worries. So Mitch, you mentioned a catchphrase that is out there a little bit, an exit strategy, right? And I think most people think of that as an exit out of the business, and I don't look at it that way. And I think so. Isn't it really an exit out of a role that had you captive?
Yes. Yeah. Remember I said it was prison and babysitting, right? At the beginning of this conversation. Yeah. I'm never going to retire. First of all, I absolutely love what I do because I'm helping people all the time. I'm still in the real estate business. In fact, I got 2 listings right now, but I'm trying not to sell, but people keep calling me because, again, I'm so lovable. But you have to get to a point where you're enjoying your life. I went to two retirement parties last year for Realtors. They were both funerals. I mean, that's just the reality, right? I'm getting ready to go to another one, right? I mean, that's the reality is most people in real estate are selling in their 70s and 80s, not because they love selling. And by the way, some people do. I enjoy selling houses. It's fun, depending on the customer. But the reality is you got to enjoy your life. If you're not enjoying your life, then why are you working? And for some people, I get it. It was for me for many years. My work was my life. But there were a lot of sacrifices that came with that, mainly my family.
So would you touch on some of the highlights just in the past 12 months that where you're loving life a little bit more? I know one of them, we got to share a catamaran with you and your team and beautiful people and your lovely wife in Cabo. You didn't look like you were working, but
it's a tough job. Yeah. So just in the past, we'll just talk the past 12 months. I literally took a month's vacation with my wife. We drove around the country last September, 32 days. So it was great.
Came to our wedding.
Came to your wedding. That was a highlight.
Yeah.
So I think my avatar was shining into your avatar head though. So we do, again, based on things I love doing, I'm doing a lot more coaching now, which I really enjoy, helping others, again, who are swimming toward me. I have a rule. I will coach anybody from any company. I don't care. But if you blow me off or you don't do what you say you're going to do, I don't do it anymore. And so far, most people get past two lessons. I'm doing every 2 months. I have the Rockstar Real Estate Series, which we're doing here in Brevard County, which we're actually getting ready to launch in different areas of the country now, where the last one we did, we had a panel of 4 rock stars, people that do, one guy did $60 million. One was a broker, a very successful broker, 2 EXP agents. So not all with EXP. And we had, 50, 60 agents in the audience that were just changing people's lives. We do our top producer panel every Thursday, which is so much fun. Me and Pete Middleton are the hosts, and it's all contribution based. So I'm doing the best part of being a broker is what I get to do. But honestly, the best part is the baseball and the rock band with my kids. I mean, that's way more fun than all this stuff. And way more meaning. I'm going to give you guys out there listening a book to read. I don't know if you've read this book, guys, but if you haven't, you need to read it. It's called Die with Zero. And a good friend of mine, Hank Avnick, got me to read it last year in August, which is why I took a month off in September. It's called Die with Zero. It's the most life-changing book I've ever read because it made me realize I was living life incredibly wrong. And now I get that. I wish I had read it when I was 20 years old because I would have changed a lot of things in my life. So, good stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely not about the money that you make. It's about the lifestyle that we all live, and time and money freedom, being able to do what you want with who you want whenever you want. There's not a lot of brokers that can pull that off, no matter how much money they're making.
Yeah, and the money, it's funny. You know, when I lost, $80 million in 2000, money did not become the focal point of my life. I realized that I spent my entire life chasing the dollar. That sucked. It didn't mean I didn't want to make a lot of money, and I still want to make a lot of money, and I'm luckily doing really well. Thank you, EXP. But it's in a different manner. Like when I had other businesses, you're chasing the dollar. With this, I'm helping people get what they want and making dollars. And so it's a different. It's just different. I don't know. Not even really easy to explain because it's such a. It's from the outside looking in, it's hard to explain to people that the contribution mode that we're in is unreal, and the lives that we change on a daily basis is unreal. And far more reach. I mean, when I had my brokerage, I was in Brevard County. I'm in 47 states and 7 countries right now. I could not have that type of leverage being a small broker in here in Brevard County, Florida.
Wait. How many states and how many countries?
47 states, 7 countries.
And how many of those countries have you gone and visited to grow there?
Well, that's the agenda for 2023 and 2024. So we're going to try to do a month in each location. For we want to do Spain, Italy, Portugal, and Brazil will probably be the first 4. And then we want to do New Zealand, Australia, and we want to do Greece. So we've got some stuff. But we're going to do it like a month in each location and work with our group that's already there. Those are states countries we're already in, and work with our group there and help them grow their business. And therefore, it's a business trip, which is awesome. And it's, again, I'm living the life I thought I was going to live as a broker. I'm living that now.
And the answer to the question was you hadn't gone to any of those countries yet to launch it.
No.
So how in the world have you grown to almost 2,000 agents and brokers in your company within the company at EXP and been so prolific at getting across the country and now across the globe? How does that happen?
So do you ever see that commercial on TV years ago? I told someone and they told 2 people, they told 2 people, and they told 2 people. Here we are. That's it. I mean, and I'll give you a quickie on it. It's a really cool story. So, obviously, Renee and Jeff Funker, 2 of my closest friends. I reached out to them, and they're now 200 of my organization. Dennis, my buddy in San Diego, I reached out to him, and he's 1,500 of my 2,000. Pete Middleton is 1,250 of Dennis's 1,500. And what happens is I brought on 6 people so far, personally. But those 96 people turned into 2,000 people. So that's the beauty of leverage, right?
And just to add a little nuance to that story, Howard Fritz, that you mentioned earlier, who's your sponsor, he was the first person I ever introduced EXP to. So he's the agent number 1 in my family, my company within the company. And your 2,000 is a significant ratio of my 5,100. So thank you for being my partner. Thank you, Howard Fritz, for making the connection. Thank you, EXP Realty, for making this possible.
And it is true. It's such a blessing, especially when you're reaching out to your friends and say, hey, I want you to be my business partner. That's how my conversation with Dennis went, with Pete, with Renee and Jeff. I mean, it's all about being business partners and having a ball. and we spent a ball. We were just pricing out Stream Song to do a little getaway in Stream Song over in Tampa. The golf resort there, but it's a little too pricey for us. We have to wait a little while. It was like
come to Palm Coast. Palm Coast is way better. Yeah.
It's but that's the thing is we meet now and we have these great things like we met at your place last year, right? And got everybody there and had a great golf week, a couple of days, and we helped each other. How do we help our agents grow their businesses? And everything we do is about how do we help? How do we help? How do we help? So much fun.
Tell us what happened to your agents' productions, that the agents that were with you at Tropical, and what's happened to their careers since making the transition over.
Well, from a stock perspective, it changed all of their lives dramatically. Right? From a production standpoint, well, it's interesting. Realtors are interesting people. Some are doing better. Some are doing exactly the same. I like to use Jeff and Renee as an example because they came over with a small team doing $15 million a year, and I think they did $275 million last year. So this is just, if you're a realtor out there, if you're not hitting the numbers you want to hit, it's not your broker's fault. It's your fault. Because what happens is people don't plug in and don't want to go to the next level. We always talk about leveling up. That's what we see everywhere now. If you're not trying to level up your business, then you need to either change where you're at and what you're doing or change yourself. Because usually you're not leveling up because of you. I remember I had one agent after we left that left us, young kid. Well, you're not the same anymore. I'm like, actually, I've got more free time than I've ever had, and I'm coaching more people than I've ever coached. It's just that you're not motivated to actually be successful. And he was out of the business in 6 months. People in our business make $3 million a year, make $3 million a year. On revenue, on production. People that do 6 do 6. People who do 10 do 10. And very few people, but the people that we love to help are the ones that say, hey, I'm at 3 now. I want to get to 6. I'm at 6 now. I want to get to 12. I'm at 12. I want to get to 24. Those are the people that, I help everybody. I don't care if you're doing $1 million a year or $100 million a year, but I love watching people grow. But it's, so to answer your question, Dave, a very long-winded answer, is some of my agents have plugged in and done really well, and some of my agents are doing exactly what they did when they were top.
I think that's, I think about when I owned my brokerage back in the day, my coaching from my real estate company when I joined was, here's a Mike Ferry script, and here's the crisscross directory, and here's your cubicle. Go get them, girl. You're going to be great, right? And I would call, if our office had sold a listing, I would call everybody on that street and say, have you thought about selling your house? I mean, that literally, and then I learned more about cold calling and how to be the FSBO queen and how to work expireds and how to make lots and lots of cold calls. So that's what I knew how to teach, right? So it wasn't that I didn't want to give my agents better tools. It's just I didn't have any better tools, And then the next real estate company I went to, their primary method of soliciting business was making cold calls. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. That's the great thing about EXP is that if you don't want to make cold calls, and I haven't met many people that do, there's a million different ways to make a wonderful living in real estate. And there's somebody in EXP that's cracked that code. And all you have to do is just go attend their classes for free anywhere you've got an internet connection.
And then, I tell people all the time that one of the best parts of EXP besides the collaboration is the access. And I'll give you an example. I'm known as the godfather of internet lead conversion, right? So, most of your systems out there on lead conversion are based on the stuff I built 20 years ago. Normally, if you're going to hire me, I'm $2,500 an hour now to do a class on lead conversion for your agents. More hours if you want me to actually dig into your systems and stuff like that. Now, in all transparency, I just raised my price to that rate, and nobody's paid me that much yet. But they have paid me $1,500 an hour. I'm trying not to do it that much. But the reality is I've had several EXP teams reach out to me to help them with their internet lead conversion. I don't charge a penny.
Right.
And that's the I have a lot of stock, right? I think I have like 24,000 stock right now. Our contribution mode is because we are public and we all own the company. 70% of EXP is owned by us, right? And so when you all own the company, would you treat your company differently? Of course you would.
Of course.
And when you're with the broker right now, you don't have that benefit.
Yeah, but that being said, I mean, while you had Tropical Realty, you probably wouldn't have wanted to train your competitors right there in your own backyard that worked for the real estate companies because it would be financially responsible to do so. So
yeah, but I did.
yeah,
But I
you're
did.
right.
Well, I didn't trade on the broker, but I did try to do the contribution there, but I got so much flack from so many people that, you know, everything people can't really believe that you actually just want to help people. It's kind of funny.
Mhm.
So Mitch, you said a very key word, contribution, and you've achieved very much in a very short period of time. And so you have a designation as being one of the top growth people at EXP, one of the alphas. And I know you've been involved in collaboration in leveling up the entire industry across the US. Talk to me a little bit about what you see as the culture at EXP with people who are not in our group.
Well, it's kind of funny because everybody in EXP is about helping. So the culture is, I mean, that's why it keeps going back to contribution. The culture is, how can I help you? I was actually on a call with that's a call in a place with Jay Kinder a couple months ago, and we were talking about how many Zoom calls we do a week, and I do about 30 Zoom calls a week. Half of them coaching, half of them people who want to join the company. And he goes, "Yeah, I do about the same." I go, "How many people are in your group that you meet with?" He goes, "I have no idea." I go, "Me either." Because it doesn't really matter to me what group you're in, and this is where everybody's gone now. There used to be a join this group. It's all gone. I mean, the culture now is from the leadership, from the alpha group, even the beta group, which is a group below us, is who can we help and how can we help them? And we don't really care what they're with. I say half my calls per week are with people that are not in my organization. I have no financial benefit at all, but the benefit I have is if we help them grow their business, then our stock goes up. And if our stock goes up, we all win.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Mitch, what else? What questions have we not asked you?
I think really we've covered most of them. We've talked about how much fun it is being a broker, right? We talked about how much money I made as a broker. I will tell you that I did hit my goal in my 5-year mark that I could retire today for the rest of my life if I wanted to because of EXP. And I will say it's not a get rich quick scheme.
No.
It's not anything like that. It's, we don't make any money if our agents don't make any money.
Right.
Right. And the beauty of this model is anybody can do what we've done. And if you're out there and you're making, I have agents that make $500 a month extra, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month extra. I mean, that's just really great, right? I mean, life changing. And by the way, if you're selling houses and you make an extra $2,000 a month because you've helped people join the company, you're going to sell more houses.
Yeah.
Because when you're not worried about paying your mortgage, you're not worried about paying your car payment, you're not worried about eating food, you sell more houses. So, but really, you guys have done a great job asking me a lot of great questions. And I'm always available for anybody out there. If you have questions about this and how you want to do it, reach out to any of us, and we're all glad to share and help.
Well, it's such an honor to be in business with you, Mitch, and just you have been such a wonderful, beautiful friend. Mitch was actually our real estate agent when Super Dave and I bought our magnificent homes, the 2 homes that we purchased in beautiful Palm Coast. So very blessed to be working with you. Thank you for introducing us and changing our lives by helping us change our address. So we are so blessed to be in business with you, Mitch, and love you and appreciate you and your beautiful, beautiful, beautiful wife as well. And realtors get free with EXP.
There you go. Feelings mutual, my dear.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.